Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the Interparliamentary Union and the IPU President Leah Axon for holding the 6th Conference of Speakers of Parliament and for the wonderful and professional arrangements. I would like to thank Switzerland for its hospitality. And by the way, in just 2 days, on August 1st, Switzerland will be marking the national holiday, the day when the Confederation was founded. I suggest that we congratulate the people of Switzerland on this occasion. Since the end of the Second World War 80 years ago, the destinies of the world have never been in such dire straits. Instead of investing in sustainable development and fulfilling the climate agenda, there is all this spending on weapons, sanctions instead of trade, ultimatums instead of diplomacy, military coalitions instead of integration. This is the reality we live in today. This makes parliamentary diplomacy even more relevant. The founding fathers of the IPU back in 1889 believed that the core mission of the IPU is to promote dispute resolution. It is high time that we go back to these roots by once again tasking parliamentary diplomacy with the mission to facilitate the resolution of international conflicts. Conflicts result from issues that tend to pile up. Without addressing the root causes, there will be more flare-ups of these conflicts, just as in the Middle East there are attempts to set out the lasting fire of this conflict by spilling more fuel on this fire, by launching missiles instead of abiding by the UN Security Council resolutions. What are the root causes of these conflicts? The first root cause is the conflicting nature of the principles of international law, the conflict between the self-determination of the people and the territorial integrity of states. We must understand which comes first, and I suggest that we mention this in our outcome documents, since the free-willing interpretation of international law is one of the key drivers of war. We cannot accept a situation when international law is replaced by some kind of a rules-based order. No one has seen these rules, and even less so approved them. The second root cause is the conflict between the principle of indivisible security and the right of states to choose military alliances. No one regulates these alliances under international law. The third root cause is that the principle of the sovereign equality of UN member states has yet to become a reality. Sanctions are used by the strong against the weak, along with military interventions. This is reminiscent of neo-colonialism. We must call things as they are. There is no such thing as a humanitarian intervention. There are aggressions that lead to disasters rather than pave the way to democracy. The fourth root cause are inter-ethnic and interfaith contradictions. When governments make them worse, they tend to pave the way for conflict. At the 137th Assembly of the IPU, we adopted the St. Petersburg Declaration on promoting cultural pluralism through interfaith and inter-ethnic dialogue. At the time, we committed ourselves to facilitating efforts and to engage parliamentary diplomacy at the national and global levels for settling interfaith and inter-ethnic conflicts. We undertook to counter ethnic and religious discrimination. Had we delivered on this promise, in most cases, we could have averted bloodshed. In most cases, most of the conflicts, including the Ukraine conflict, could have been and can be resolved only if we address their root causes. It is high time that we step up our diplomatic efforts by making maximum use of the resources we have at our disposal, and primarily the resources of the international organizations. They must rely on universal democratic principles, which is the case for the IPU and BRICS. Instead of serving the interests of certain states or promoting double standards.
I speak on behalf of the country, which has been living in the conditions of ungrounded armed aggression from Russia for 11 years. For more than 3.5 years, a full-scale war has been going on in my country. Every day we lose the most valuable human life, because the war kills military, doctors, teachers and children. The Russian missile in Kyiv destroyed the buildings of the largest children's hospital in Ukraine. On that day, 27 people died in Kyiv. On the night of July 9th, Russia set a record. It launched 728 drones and 13 missiles in Ukraine. I am telling you about it today so that you know what a strong and durable Ukrainian nation. How Ukrainians continue to defend our sovereignty, our land, continue to work, because we are a peaceful nation. Dear colleagues, I want you to understand the scale of the tragedy, the scale of the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. The largest since World War II. The scale of the kidnapped, deported Russian and Ukrainian children. 19,456 children, the official number of which was stolen or deported by Russia. And another 1,600,000 Ukrainian children who live in the temporarily occupied territories. They do not have the right to their own language, their own history, to pray in the Ukrainian church. They want to hate Ukraine, militarize it and are preparing to fight against it. These are crimes of indoctrination. These crimes are investigated by the International Criminal Court. They are convicted by international organizations and missions. I am sincerely grateful to the world parliaments that approved the resolution to support Ukrainian children. I ask the world parliaments to join the international coalition on the issue of returning children to the Bring Kids Back UA, which already includes more than 40 countries. Together we managed to return 1,465 children. What else can the world parliaments do to support Ukraine? We welcome the clear and consistent position of the MPs, in particular, the Resolution 144 and 145 of the Assembly. But explain to me why the delegation of the aggressor country, the Russian Federation, which was convicted by all international organizations, including the UN and the MPs, is here today. Why are the countries that have imposed sanctions against Russian officials accepting them? These are double standards. This is unacceptable. If you want peace in the world and help Ukraine, praise the allocation of military and humanitarian aid, especially the air defense equipment. Because this is the humanitarian aid that saves the lives of civilians. Strengthen the sanctions against the aggressor country. The frozen assets of the Russian Federation must be directed to the reconstruction of the ruined, and also to make visits to Ukraine. The demonstration of solidarity with us is very inspiring. Ukraine remains open to dialogue. President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly stated about our readiness for peace talks, including with the unconditional cessation of the fire. But peace cannot be one-sided. Ukraine has stood up thanks to your cooperation with us, thanks to the help of our partners. I am sincerely grateful to the representatives of each parliament that approved the decision to support Ukraine. We also stood up thanks to faith. Faith in ourselves and faith in good. And we believe that we will win. Thank you for your support.